Hi, I'm Leslie Short, owner of the Cavu Group and host of Visibility Unlimited, the podcast, and hostess of Visibility Unlimited Spotlight, our video portion of our podcast. Tonight's guest is Charles Chen. I'm excited to speak with him because we've had this conversation on mental health and wellness is not the same. And we gave a lot of time on mental health. So the conversation now is on wellness. And Charles is an expert on wellness. So Charles, if you could just give a little bit of a background of how you ended up in the field of wellness, and then we'll get into the conversation about wellness in the workplace.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Leslie. I am a big fan of your work and everything that you're doing at the Cavu Group. So I stumbled across wellness actually through my rock bottom. So funny enough, I had to hit my rock bottom with struggling with my weight. I was 100 pounds heavier. I struggled with diabetes. It ran in my family, and I ate junk food every single day. So wellness, I was not so well a while back. But then it took me not being well to find my steps back into wellness. Like I had to rediscover what does it mean to eat naturally, especially, with my culture and the different types of foods, but also healing trauma. I think a big part of wellness is looking at our inner child and looking at the blockages. And, everyone has a different experience.
Okay.
I came from an immigrant background, coming to a new country, navigating, learning a new language. Man is my first language, dealing with my sexuality, my parents' divorce, dealing with sexual abuse. Like there were so many different layers, and everyone's personal experience is very different.
Yes.
And so when we talk about wellness, we can't deny the trauma. We have to look at that first too, and not be afraid to talk about it.
Absolutely. And that's where, when I say wellness and mental health are not the same, they are kissing cousins. I don't think you can have one without the other. I think where the conversation, why I like to distinguish the two, is when I'm speaking about the workplace, when they say, oh, we have all this wellness, but they're not taking care of the mental health side of it. Or as you said, not the job's supposed to take care of your trauma, but that's a piece of who you come in with.
Yeah. And every individual's different. So as a corporation, or, when you talk about what type of work environment or culture are you creating?
Right.
Are you meeting people where they are? Are you being fair enough to be like, not everyone is at the same playing field, especially as an immigrant? I struggle with different things. I can work just as hard, but if anything, I have to work twice as hard to get in the same room,
Right.
or if not more. So there's a lot of different barriers. So I think to meet people, and also if you don't know, be open, ask questions, lead with curiosity, but to recognize that everyone has their own experience, and how do we meet people where they are?
Absolutely. And so as that always comes back to, you can throw as many diverse people in the room. There's diverse and there's diversity within that diversity. And
Absolutely.
you need to understand by just bringing in people and assuming that everyone is going to be well mentally and physically, you just can't assume that. So
No.
then
Yeah.
what does wellness mean to you, and how beyond a yoga class should maybe companies be looking at it?
I think it is holistic. Like you said, within diversity, there's even more diversity. It's not a one size fits all. Like that doesn't work for wellness. Everyone is on a different page. Like what worked for my transformation is not going to work for someone else. And I look at it from a mind, body, and spirit. When you think about wellness packages, when someone just sends one curated box for everybody, it's like you have to think about, like, not everyone's going to resonate with the same products, and everyone's on a different page. Everyone also has different toolkits in their umbrella of tools of how to navigate stress, how to navigate tension. Going back to trauma, you might respond to a word differently than someone else, right?
Oh.
So if I say something that might trigger you, so just understanding like how are you communicating. But I think for me, wellness, especially in the workplace, comes with proper communication and creating the spaces. And we're going to make mistakes, but how do we do it together? How do we learn together, right? So then, yeah, you're not taking responsibility for everything, but like you're being mindful and aware that, you know, one word might mean one thing to someone else and it could trigger someone else. So just, having that mindfulness, I think mindfulness and self-awareness is key.
I wish we could do a billboard on that. You know, I do a workshop with the Cavu Group on words have meaning, because culturally it is going to be different. And that does play on someone's, and I like to say their spirit or their wellness, their mindset, how they show up every day. You know, and you know, I do not want to knock yoga. I love yoga. And I think if you're going to offer that, then offer several different types of yoga, offer different apps. But I had someone say to me that their company decided they were going to do yoga and they were going to send out all the apps and it was all free. But then they sent like 15 emails pushing everybody to sign up and to do that. So it kind of defeated the purpose of wellness, to take care of people.
Yeah. And I think when we even talk about these tools, and, you know, I think in the Western culture, yoga has become, you know, a fad, but it's like, for me, I think it's also important, especially in the wellness space that I am in, is to pay homage to where do these traditions come from? How can we learn more about people's culture, going back to understanding diversity and not, you know, there's a lot of whitewashing. And especially like putting goji berries on acai bowls and drinking bone broths, it is not new, right? But then can we pay tribute to, does it come from traditional Chinese medicine? Is there like ancient remedies that, you know, we should support and also try to understand? So I always try to dive deeper. I think whatever your practice is, you can always dive deeper and you can go to the roots rather than, you know, doing a surface. And I think true transformation, you know, at least for me, going through my personal transformation, I had to dive really deep. I had to pull some roots out. I had to really confront a lot of the things I didn't want to look at. And I think that's part of transformation. It's kind of like in an individual transformation, I equate it to like washing the dishes. If you do not wash the dish and you just like leave it, it starts getting crusty, it starts getting moldy, and it's like, you got to do the work. You can't just leave the dishes. No one's going to do the dishes for you, right? So then when I think about a personal transformation, it's almost like the water is going to get super muddy when you start toxifying the body, when you start eliminating things that no longer serve you. It's going to get very flustered, and a lot of things are going to come up to the surface first before the water is clear. But in order for it to clear, you also have to release. And that's part of, you know, like in a personal transformation, in a collective transformation, it's very similar. So I think anyone who's done anyone who's done the inner work, they understand as a collective, like the healing doesn't happen overnight. It is, you know, especially when we're talking about trauma, there's a lot of things of regaining trust in yourself and people, kind of creating those boundaries and utilizing those tools. And there's so many similarities.
Absolutely. I always say you have to do your inner work, but you were speaking about your personal transformation. And then when you show up at work, I always say when I'm working with companies in the cultural transformation, it's the same thing. We can look at all the surface things. There's things that we can do. Like I always like to say, low hanging fruit that we can kind of fix early on. But we have to dig down deep, and that takes time.
And it's a commitment. It's a commitment.
And you have to be accountable for your actions. When you say trust, I say trust equals action. You want people to trust you. You trust yourself. You have to actively be involved in your transformation.
Absolutely. And you're going to, and I was just sharing this with, you know, someone on my team today when we were working, it's that like when you're transforming, it's it's almost like a caterpillar into a butterfly, you are going to feel uncomfortable. There are going to be things that come up and that are going to, push against your boundaries and things that you're used to if you've been doing it for so long. So part of the trust is trusting that, hey, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I am committed to the process.
Right.
And then I'm going to take one step at a time every single day. And it is not what I'm used to or the norm, but you continue to show up every single day. And there's a level of faith and a level of like, commitment to the higher grand picture of like where we're headed, and to know that we're in this journey together. And I think what I realized is like, yes, the transformation is individual where you're showing up every single day, but the transformation also occurs as a collective. Like you need people to hold you accountable and to also, hey, shine a mirror to be like, hey, you're not acting in your integrity. You're not living, you're not aligning your actions with your words. How can we change this? So changing the questions you're asking yourself, like, hey, reframing things. So then, and it does get very confronting, and that's where the discomfort is, but it's like the commitment. And I think you, of all people, like Leslie, you work with so many different companies. Like there's a lot of companies that can say one thing, but then you look at their actions, right? And I think I take it to the next level as far as embodiment, like embody. I don't want to hear, like, embody the truth, embody the integrity and the beautiful mission statements and like all the things that you say. Right. I want to experience it. And when you walk into a company, it's not the spoken, it's the unspoken. It's the
unspoken. Exactly.
It is like the words, like when you look at art, when you look at a piece of a film, a cinema, you're never listening to what the actors are saying. You are watching the in-between moments of like,
the movement.
Those are the moments where racism happens, when you don't talk, when you don't say anything, when things just get kind of like, oh, well, we don't care. But you make someone feel, and like, when we look at like Abraham Maslow's like hierarchy of needs, like, are you making someone feel seen? Are you making them feel like they're a part of something? Are you, make like
heard and valued?
Yes.
I always say heard and valued, because you can hear me and not value me. So I again, what are the words we're using to make sure that it really turns into an accountability action? Someone said to me today, what's the end? What's the end of this? I said, whether I'm in this box working with you or not, there is no end. This is a constant work.
It's a lifelong journey. Yeah.
Yes. My goal for you as a company now is that when new people come in, it's not the whispers of yesterday, but the feeling of today. And they just kind of looked at me. I said, because that's what we also need to change. We have to shift what we're saying, how we're saying it, what we're doing. How do you feel when you show up? How do you make people feel when you show up?
Yeah. Do they feel appreciated? And I think when we talk about wellness, and I just got back from Europe, Leslie, like, like the mindset and the work-life balance is crazy.
It's a different world.
The fact that like Americans have 2 weeks off, and then we expect them to work. And if anything, COVID and all these, things have shown us that like, no, these are human beings and they have lives outside of work. They have kids, they have family, they have loved ones. How do you expect them to show up to be the fullest, of themselves in your work and care, if you're not even taking care of them? And going back to, are you making sure that they are being heard?
Right.
And do they feel valued in their work? And,
it's in your policies. It's not, it's not in your gift packages to me. I'm grateful. It's in your policies.
Yeah.
Do you have time off for parental leave? I just did that conversation. Do I have a real amount of time for holiday? And when I go, I'm actually off. That I'm not getting text, I can't find this, or you need to get on that call. And can you just jump on it? Oh, just quickly look at this. No, I need to shut it down.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, I even felt guilty and I pushed myself. I was like, no, especially when we run our own companies, there's a million to-do list, there's always something to do.
Right.
But, you know, I think as I'm getting older, I realize like the burnout is real. Like, you know, like you need to take time off. You need to schedule time off. Like we have 100 to-do lists from other people, and every single day you're getting pulled in so many different directions. And, you know, how is it that on that to-do list, how many of it is serving your soul, your spirit,
Yes.
taking care of you? I'm a big advocate for owning your mornings. I wake up earlier, I go to sleep earlier, so then I can have time for myself.
I've been doing this at night now that I have for summer. Since
I love it.
Crazy. I always have my mornings like you, but I've been taking this hour and a half of just for me, watching a documentary, sitting on the rooftop, whatever it is. Because I know come winter and all the clients and everyone's back in, I will not have that many evenings to do that.
Yes. And not feeling guilty. Like it's like, no, yeah, you deserve time. You give, I give, you know, we give 111%. If I am present with someone, I am fully focused. This is what I'm doing. I bring that mindfulness. It's not just in yoga class. It's not just when you're meditating. It's like, how do you infuse it into every single thing that you do? When you're having a conversation with a client, that they have your full undivided attention, that you're actively listening. So like all these things. And when you take care of yourself, I call it soul care. So there's a difference between, and I'm writing about this in my new book, Leslie, like self-care, going from self-care to soul care. Soul care is the next level. Self-care, you know, there's a whole like movement around self-care. I think self-care to a certain extent gets self-indulgent. Me.
Right.
Yes, you take care of you, but where's the circle where, going back to the infinity sign, if we look at nature, everything is in equilibrium. It is all working in harmony. So when we take care of ourselves, it's recognizing that in order for us to fill our own cup full, then we can give to others. And so there's a level of service whether you or not you think about your work as service. Everything we touch is service. It's like part of our soul contract, what we're here to share, our unique gifts that are given to just us. And when you recognize that, you take care of yourself, you rest and you recover, you fuel your body with nutrition, you take yoga, because there's a level of service involved where you're taking care of this vehicle in this lifetime so you can serve and be the greatest and have the greatest impact and be the highest light in your world, like your family, your friends.
Right.
That is what I mean, soul care. It's deeper. You know, it's there's a level of connection to the divine. Like, I don't care if you're not religious. It is just energetic.
Yeah, and I love that. There's the energy that comes with soul care. And, you know, I'm throwing this in now because we weren't going to speak about this, but it brings back to, you know, what's trending at this moment. I'm going to say different cultures is this quiet quitting, where we know culturally people have quietly quit for years. When you know, and everyone's like, well, you take care of yourself. I'm like, if you don't take care of yourself, if you have allowed a job or a person to drain your energy, you've allowed that. You've got to know your limit of that. You protect your soul and you protect your spirit, which will protect your wellness, which will protect your mental health.
Yeah. We teach people how to treat us, right? This goes back to healthy boundaries, communication. You know, if you're a mom, if you're a parent, you know, when you get home, your kids are looking at you and you need to be fully present for them. So what is the cutoff time that your colleagues can reach out to you? You have to set a certain standard. And if you continue to let people text you at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, they're going to continue to do that. You know, like there's always something that they can come to you for. But understanding like, hey, this is protecting my mental health. This is making sure that I can give you 100% when I am on the clock.
Right.
But, you know, in European culture, they have this great thing. When they're out, they are out. When they are working, they are fully working. There's not bombarded with all these social media. They are like, we're really working.
Charles, when I lived there, I never started control. I never remember speaking about what I did at dinner. Dinner was about politics and lives and art and music and what was happening. And it was never who are you, what you, not who are you, but what do you do? It was
Yeah, yeah,
never that. It
yeah.
was really about how are we living? Where are we going? Where are we vacationing? What art exhibition is here? And we don't take the time to just do that.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
even, yeah, just be like, I understand. It's like we have this cultural like thing where we just size people up based on what can they do for me. Like,
yes.
you know, like it's not even, it's not a, the intention is not based on love and like, I want to experience someone fully and
Mhm.
not just size them off based on, you know, what is the exchange and transaction
Yes.
rather than can I see this person as a person and can I be in their presence and can we talk about things that are not related to just work. I always love when that's like the last, like, oh yeah, by the way, I do this and amazing, but you just connected on a different level. And then those
Absolutely.
are the best working relationships because they value things, you
You.
know.
They
Yeah,
value you, you
yeah,
know, and no, that's why a couple years ago I was on a panel and it was all about networking. And I was like, I don't like that word. Number one, that pressure to network, that means you're just coming at me because you look to see where I'm working or what I do and what can you get from me, as opposed to, oh, you have a cute pair of shoes on, or I like your style or your energy is good. I just want to come say hi and figure out who you are, you
yeah,
know. And so for me, that is wellness, that connection you want to make with someone, that you feel their energy as
yeah.
opposed to you feel their credentials.
Absolutely. And this goes back to having the soul care, the time with yourself to hear your higher self, to be in tune with your intuition, to create those healthy boundaries. We need time. Like we need time and there's different seasons in life. You're not always bearing the fruits of your labor. Like there are seasons where it's just dry and you're just, you know, taking care of that crop, taking care of giving it sun, giving it love, giving it everything it needs. And then so recognizing which season are you in, not comparing. You have so many amazing gifts to offer.
Right.
And when you're clear, and I think when you come at life with an act of service, like
Mhm.
because I've took the time to be like, hey, these are things that I'm really good at and I love doing these things. I want to offer that to someone
Right.
and be of service, right? And going back to like this energetic exchange where it's beyond just work. And when you bring that to your work, like you will excel when someone sees you thriving and passionately and like this is what I really want to do. And you're always thinking about value to bring into your corporation or your work environment to be like, hey, I created the system that can help us.
Right.
Da, 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 da. I learned how to connect with the consumers and understanding what they want or the client's needs. Those are added bonus. And I think when I work with people and when I hire, I always look at the little details. Going back to, I don't
Mhm.
listen to what people say. I watch what they do. I
Right.
have an intern that turned into, you know, an employee. And I remember calling him out of the blue a year after we worked together and he was an intern. And
Mhm.
it was because he was fixing a glare of a shot that we were getting. And it was the end of the day. Everyone was tired. We've been filming all morning and there was this glare. This kid goes around the corner to like fix it. Everyone's like, "What are you doing?" And I saw that and I was like, "That is brilliance." And I called him a year later. I was like, "Hey, I'm working on a project. I want you to be the DP on it." And he was like, how do you remember? I was like,
Oh, I
when I see
remember.
excellence, I remember. And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing is like our culture, we need to reinstill the care, but
Mhm.
starting with your self care, your soul care, and
Right.
then you can care more about the work that you do. Because if you're not even taking care of this right here, how can you serve and be at the highest of your
Yeah.
performance?
When you show up, you're halfway there, and then you have a organization that may not always be for the employees' well-being, but for production. So you don't know, and that's where people get lost. Um, have you seen anything since these last 2 years have just been? I think people have either completely gone one way or gone the way of understanding their soul and self-care and well-being and mental health, and have a different outlook on the way that they're walking in somewhere. Have you noticed anything maybe with the corporations that you've been dealing with, how their approach to wellness? may be a little bit different.
I think the sensitivity, and it goes back to the awareness, understanding that there's a lot of things that you cannot not talk about anymore. So there's an openness. Every call I get on, conference, Zoom calls, like there's a level of respect and care to realize that everyone is struggling or dealing with their own stuff, but like to have the space to be like, hey, it's okay. Like I'm going to keep my Zoom camera off because I'm not feeling like seeing everybody, or like whatever it is. Like I think there's a level more of like compassion, which I think is really beautiful. And also people are not afraid to have those meaningful conversations because they might have lost someone during the pandemic or whatever. It's like life is too short to half-ass and like not have people who care about you and who know what's really going on. So having those tough conversations are very healthy. And it's just like in an individual romantic relationship, if you don't have transparency and you don't have that equal communication, we're never going to have the level of respect. And so I think what I'm seeing is like a shift, and I think it's a very healthy shift, and it's part of the collective kind of, transformation. And I think we're headed in a really healthy direction. And I think a lot of people had to take the time to like sit still with themselves, to ask themselves, what is important to me? What is this the life that I want to lead? Am I contributing? Am I at a company where my gifts are valued and that I am making, a difference and impact? And I think impact is a word that comes back. A lot of people are like, whoa, what am I doing? Because I think we've been in this rat race, like running. And then it forced us to pause, and everyone's like, maybe people have changed careers, changed different, went into a whole different direction.
Yes. And I think that's great. I think I'm going to start advocating, just like on the train, a quiet car. I think there should be a quiet room in every office where people can take that moment and just go sit in that room.
Oh my gosh.
Take their laptop or take a book and just be able to, everyone knows that when you walk in there, don't ask anything, just be.
I love that because, when you get that email and you get triggered, we all get triggered, right? Whether it's on the phone call.
Yes.
And it's that moment, right? It's that moment when, and I call it your spiritual muscles. Just as you go to the gym to work on your physical muscles, your spiritual muscles like that you develop with different tools, whatever works for you, whether it's yoga, walking your dog, having tea, that moment in between when you have the self-awareness to just pump the brakes and to have the awareness to be like, I am triggered right now. I am not going to say what I'm about to say. I'm going to take a pause.
Yes.
I think that's what, there's a book called Stillness is a Key. That is what starts wars and what stops wars. Absolutely. Is when those people who have the attitudinal muscles and the spiritual muscles to be like, and I think as I get older, I'm like, oh, I'm triggered. Let me go outside. Let me go get some sun.
Absolutely. I get a lot of those calls from people when they go outside. Talk me down.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need. We need the people that can help us talk us down, talk us through it, work us through it. But you also have to take that moment once you've spoken to those people and just let it settle in yourself.
Yeah. Because I think with, what has happened in the past, cancel culture is real. Like people are getting canceled all left and right. And can we just take a moment and bring more of that care and that compassion to recognize that we all have blind spots. Right. And the self-awareness comes back to like, ooh, I was triggered. I don't know what this person's going through on their individual life. Because usually when people are projecting and there's things, it's always under like there's always something going on within. And my friend, my friend was, called me and was like, I'm about to, go off on this employee. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you my 2 cents in the holistic version. And this is experience leading other people. Is like, they're probably going through something. And if you just do a check-in, just to be like, before you ask them to do the job, how are you really doing? What's going on?
Are you good at this moment? Because I never look at a full day. How are you at this moment?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this moment, because otherwise people will tell you everything.
If you give them the opportunity. And, the friend went back to the employee, and then the employee's like, I had just lost my best friend. This is why I can't show up in my work. And he was like, ooh, you saved me from, I was like, we all have those moments. And I was like, if you had just checked in with someone heart to heart, human to human. And when we recognize employees are humans at the end of the day, like I always
Those are
teach
leadership
everybody.
skills, and
Yeah.
everyone doesn't have leadership skills because they
No.
don't have people skills. So
Yeah.
that's part of understanding yourself as a leader, is to understand where your people are in that moment. And you
Yeah.
can't do that without asking. You say.
Absolutely. And there's something that I've realized, Leslie, that like when we get triggered, when something comes up, when we're not acting in the highest integrity, we almost turning into a little child, and the communication tools like just shut off. Like there's a shut off. And so when someone's acting up, if I'm acting up, I try to tune in to be like, what does my inner child need right now in this moment? Like, what is happening? Do I not feel heard? Am I feeling triggered? Like, what is it I can do to, soothe myself without any substances? But like, how can I, because you need to feel to heal. So like, how do I feel what is coming up for me and take my responsibility of how I'm participating?
Right.
And then how can I choose differently in this moment?
So, Charles, we're coming almost near the end. What would be and I can speak to you all day. So, but what is the 3 things you think, and you just shared so many, but an organization needs to know, and maybe 3 things again that someone personally needs to know for their wellness?
Take time for yourself, right? For your spirit, for yourself, like pause. We talked about that. I love the pause room. Just pause. Sometimes when something's not working, just pause, unplug it. Stop trying to force, like, why is this not working? Pause. That's the universe telling you chill.
Yes.
Right? Take a moment. You can take a 5. You can take, sometimes if you're in a workplace, I go to the bathroom before a conference. I was like, I need to breathe.
Right.
So if you have that chill, quiet room, let's
I'm gonna start designing those.
Yes. Some people can have a moment. And then another thing is just compassion. Like, have more compassion. Like, you can always leave with more compassion.
Right.
And the next thing is taking responsibility, right? And this goes back to commitment, showing up daily, but cleaning up your side of the street. And that comes with having the stillness, gives you the kind of clarity to like, hey, how am I contributing? Can I communicate differently? Are my words landing? If I'm getting a bad initial reaction, maybe there's words I can change, or can I lead in with more questions to understand? So I think, taking responsibility is really important. And I think that's the key to transformation, recognizing that you are a part of creating whatever is in front of you, good or bad.
Right. So that commitment, I'm gonna wrap it, the commitment, the responsibility, the accountability, the soul searching. This is everything about wellness in a very elementary way that I put it, and how eloquently you put it. And so I want everyone to take that time and really listen to Charles, follow Charles. I want you to speak about your 888 process and how everyone can find you, because I just think you're amazing.
Thank you. So I broke down the 888 process. That's 8. The number is also the infinity sign. My whole thing is, how do you create micro habits that lead to true transformation? A lot of people think when it comes to transformation, it's like this big aha moment. No, it's in the day to day. So how do you break it down? 8 minutes for your mind, 8 minutes for your body, and 8 minutes for your spirit. And literally if you just remember 888, okay, I'm flustered. Can I take 8 minutes to chill? 8 minutes to have that tea, 8 minutes of stretching if I can't work out, or go for a walk outside so I can be the highest version of myself. Just little things, and add on as you can, but like 888, that's all. So that's the 888 process, because life is a process. It's never ending. It's always continuation. And so I broke it down. I was like, you know what? Like 888, people remember things in 3s.
Right.
And you can do 3 things for your mind, body, and spirit. And that leads to wellness transformation.
Thank you so much. And where can everyone find you? Where's your website? Or
yes, you can check me out at charleschen.tv. And then if you want to find out more about 888 process, 888process.co.
Wow. Thank you so much for being my guest today, for being my friend, for being my light in this crazy world. I appreciate you so much.
I love you so much, Leslie. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I hope whoever's listening, I hope this inspired you to take charge of your life and create some miraculous transformation.
Absolutely. 888, everyone. You can do that for 8 minutes. You can change and transform your life. Everyone, if you want to reach out to me, you can always find me at the Cavu Group. Make sure you always add the Cavu Group. And that's the website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm your host, Leslie Short. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.